Hey guys, Siemanko. I hope you're all doing absolutely amazing today. I'm Mysticle, and I'll be bringing you the latest in AR and VR news. Now, this video is going to be a little bit different to our normal format. We don't actually have a massive stock of articles for today's video. Instead, mostly, we're going to be taking a very close look over at X, formerly Twitter. We're talking leaks, community reactions, and of course, a healthy dose of copium, especially on the Steam frame front. So sit back, relax, and with that being said, let's get right into it. So let's kick things right off with the Steam frame, because honestly, at this point, I really don't know how much more Valve needs to do before they push that big red button and release the device. In our last episode, we talked about the new SteamVR UI redesign, the great on-frame store section going live, the huge hardware shipments clearing US customs, and the leaked Concentrix email about a potential order rollout date. Well, while things, especially with that email, might not have gone exactly to plan, they have most certainly escalated since then. Brad Lynch over on X has been going absolutely wild with SteamVR code diffs. He posted a massive breakdown showing that Valve has added what looks like, well, everything. PlaySpace setup, PlaySpace boundaries, the whole onboarding flow, controller firmware update strings for both left and right Steam frame controllers, Steam frame controller pairing, identifying, forgetting, all the Bluetooth management stuff you'd expect at launch, and on top of that, library filters specifically for the Steam frame. To quote, show games only that work naturally with Steam frame, or show all frame verified titles. The works. And the Steam hardware updates account on X summed it up perfectly. Quote, Valve added everything. They look to be very ready for launch. And honestly, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. But Brad wasn't done. He also shared another post showing that the Steam frame is no longer considered a WIP. Work in progress. In the SteamVR codebase, the touchscreen reference was removed. The local and remote library tabs got renamed to Standalone and Remote PC, and there were even new Bluetooth and audio settings specifically for Steam frame, indicating options to enable Bluetooth microphone, prioritize Bluetooth audio latency. This is the level of polish you add right before shipping your product. This is not, we'll get to it eventually stuff. This is basically the packaging is being printed stuff. And honestly, the word on the street is, and I know we've been saying this for a while at this point, so do take it with a grain of salt, but it's looking like Monday might genuinely be the day, which is probably the day this video is going out to the public. I honestly can't confirm that, and depending on exactly what time this video goes live, we might already know. But the pieces are all in place. The software is ready, the hardware has shipped out, the onboarding is built, and the store pages are live. If it's not Monday, it's going to be very, very soon. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know how ready my wallet is for this one, especially considering the piece of news I have for you in a little while. But before we get into that, here's a fun one. Brad Lynch also flagged something that's a little awkward for Valve. Beat Saber's Steam listing now shows a Steam frame compatibility rating of unsupported. The automated message says, quote, this game's graphics settings cannot be configured to run well on the Steam frame, which is obviously a lie of sorts. I mean, this thing runs on the Quest 2. Hell, it runs on the Quest 1. You're telling me it can't run well on the Steam frame? I don't believe that for a second. And Brad's response was basically, well, that's awkward, because I am told by many that the game actually runs really well standalone on the Steam frame. Oh yeah, well, at least you could still run it, even if it quote-unquote doesn't run well. So it sounds like this is more of a testing label issue rather than an actual performance problem. Or, as I like to see it, Beat Games, owned by Meta. Meta wants you to buy Quest, not Steam Frame, so maybe this is their way of kind of inching you towards that. I don't know, speculation. Do not quote me on that. The game likely runs fine, but just hasn't gone through whatever verification process Valve requires games to go through in order to get that verified badge on the Steam Frame. But it's a funny situation nonetheless. And I'll definitely be looking and interested to see if this changes post-launch. And talking about games showing up on the frame post-launch, there is some genuinely encouraging news on the software side of things. Remember that great for frame section that we talked about in previous episodes, not having a ton of titles on there? Well, that has already grown to over 30 games being listed. And that number is constantly growing. We've been seeing titles like The Lab, Valve's own free VR showcase, among that list, and the selection is getting more diverse by the day. Now, 30 games might not sound like a lot compared to the Quest library, but remember, these are curated, verified standalone experiences that Valve is confident run well natively on the Steam Frame hardware. And that's before you even factor in the remote PC streaming, which opens up the entire SteamVR library. For a day one launch lineup, this is actually really solid, and I expect that number to balloon quickly once the device is actually in people's hands and developers can test on hardware directly. Also, very important thing to note here, I've actually been getting a ton of comments in the comment section of people not being entirely certain whether the Steam Frame can run PCVR titles directly on the device without needing a PC, and the answer is yes. Yes, it can. Through a software compatibility layer called FAX that Valve developed on top of their Proton compatibility layer, you should be able to run standalone x86 PCVR titles on the frame. Now, do keep in mind, this does not mean they will run well, and this is not the primary use case for the hardware, but it is something you can do, and possibly with modding or changing parameters in-game, lowering graphical settings, etc., you might actually be able to get a playable experience on some PCVR titles. So yes, it is possible, however, it is not the primary use case. It still makes it super exciting for people like me that enjoy playing around with these kinds of things. Now here is where the hype gets even more real, as third-party accessories for the Steam Frame are already showing up. If that doesn't tell you launch is imminent, I don't know what does. Steam hardware updates on X already shared photos of a Spigen silicone grip and knuckle strap set designed specifically for the Steam Frame controllers. This product is actually something that I'm using on all of my Quest devices and other headsets, and if something like this hasn't existed, I've kind of DIY'd a version of my own. That is how much I enjoy products like this. An interesting thing here, though, is that this is a Spigen product, and I swear Spigen create screen protectors and cases. I have a screen protector from them in my car. What are they doing creating knuckle straps for the... Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. Point is, accessories are already coming out. But here is where it gets even more interesting. An account on X called Is the Steam Frame Out Yet? Yes, that is a genuine account, and honestly, same. Posted about leaks suggesting the Steam Frame may ship alongside something called a Goopy kit. It's described as a kit of ergonomic accessories, and the price is estimated somewhere between $69.99 and $99.99. So you might not even need to buy third-party knuckle straps separately if Valve is bundling their own accessory kit, and shows Valve is thinking about comfort and ergonomics out of the box, which, as VR enthusiasts, we love to see. Okay, now with all that good stuff out of the way, let's move on to the bad stuff. And this could seriously have a very bad ripple effect on not just Valve, but the rest of the AR and XR and VR industry, whatever you want to call it. Bloomberg reported that Qualcomm, the biggest maker of smartphone and XR processors, has told its customers that pricing is going up. And not by a little bit. We're talking a double-digit percentage increase, effective for products shipped after September 1st. And if Valve thought they couldn't catch a break with the RAM apocalypse, it looks like another apocalypse might be coming. Or at least maybe, hopefully not apocalypse, that's a rather big word, but a problem indeed. So for those that don't know, why exactly does this matter for us? Well, literally every single standalone VR and AR device on the market is using Qualcomm silicon. The MetaQuest line, the Steam Frame with its Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, Samsung's upcoming smart glasses with the Snapdragon AR1 Gen 1, which we talked about in the previous episode. Basically, Qualcomm is absolutely everywhere. Brad Lynch put it bluntly. Quote, literally every single AR/VR device uses Qualcomm. And on top of the Qualcomm hikes, there are also ongoing memory and storage pricing issues. DDR5 and NAND flash prices have been trending upward. So between chip costs going up and memory costs going up, Brad's assessment is that there's virtually no way for headsets to avoid further price increases. It's not great news, but it's a reality of the current supply chain situation. Valve literally cannot catch a break. So with that bummer out of the way, let's move on to some Horizon OS leaks. First up, Luna managed to extract the device setup Nux music for Meta's Project Phoenix, also known as LOMA. For those who don't know, Nux stands for New User Experience. It's basically the music that plays when you first set up the headset. It's a small detail, but it tells us that Meta is putting real thought into the out-of-box experience for their next device. And remember, in our last episode, we talked about the Home Environment 2026 rename, which suggests this new home environment might not be exclusive to Phoenix/LOMA. So the vibes of the next generation of Meta hardware are definitely building. Also, secondly, just a very quick piece of info here, Luna has finally gotten access to the larger window spawning limit, which means she can now spawn way more 2D floating windows inside her home environment, which I still don't have. So Meta, you gave it to Luna, now please give it to me. But yeah, there you guys have it. What an absolute roller coaster this episode, let me tell you. We've got some crazy copium in here, some very good news, but at the same time, I feel like that Qualcomm situation is just going to be a huge pain, and is definitely going to ruin the hopes for a next cheap headset from Meta anytime soon. Or at least that's the way I see it. Double digits percentage. I don't know how much they pay for Qualcomm chips, but anyway you put that, it just does not look good. Anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you guys like this one, please do leave a like. If you disliked it, I guess this button works too. But let me know why down in the comment section below. If you're not yet part of our community, check out our Discord and our Reddit down below, where I want to see you posting your spicy memes. And thank you so much to all the patrons supporting this channel. You guys are absolutely amazing. You help me continue making these videos. And thank you to anyone else supporting the channel in any way, shape, or form. Whether you like, you subscribe, whether you comment, all that helps the algorithm, or whether you buy me a coffee. Seriously, thank you. And as usual, if you want to be notified of future content coming up on the channel, make sure to smack that subscribe button with your forehead, ding my bell, and see you again in the next video. Peace.